Copenhagen. Good day, everyone. To begin with, please forgive me. I have to wear shades today. I have a splitting headache. What happens here is when it's flat light, it triggers my migraine. So I've taken the necessary pills, and but I have to protect myself from bright light and almost this flat light, what we call it in the world of skiing, where there are no shadows. Everything is gray and everything is bright. And but if I were to joke, I am wearing shades inside because the future is bright, ladies and gentlemen. The future is bright. It has to be. It has to be. If the future was grim, then it would be grim. Tonight and or today, depends on when you're listening to this or watching this, I am going to talk about the complainers and the doomsday tellers, or people who rely on these false facts. And what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to get on Facebook. I'm going to scroll down to see who is saying what, and then I am going to make fun of them frivolously. Like people advising to do the witchcraft teas with lemon zest and some pepper and all that. Great, do those, because there's something called the what is it? See, I should know these things in English as well. When they do drug testing, a group of people think they have the drug, and then the other group actually take the drug, and the results always come back to people who thought they took the drug, but it was like just some sort of piece of candy or something. They just psychosomatic reaction to it was always positive. They thought they were being cured or they were being protected. So that means your attitude towards things and how you deal with stress will determine how you're going to fare in this ordeal. Again, I recommend not to spend too much screen time talking about the coronavirus and the stats and the numbers that comes with it. And all these people, currently as we speak, I do not know anyone in my tight circle that has experienced the coronavirus. And I hope that remains the same. There are a couple of reports out there. Some athletes have received this, and then they just had a terrible experience going through dealing with coronavirus. Let me tell you something about athletes, like highly tuned athletes. Our perception of an athlete is a health freak, and our perception of an athlete is someone who is physically better than us. Yes and no. They are physically better than you in the discipline that they compete in. They can probably jump higher than you. They can probably run the 100-yard dash faster than you. But that doesn't mean they are healthier than you. A highly tuned athlete lives on the edge of being sick and being healthy all the time. Because they put such demand on their body, athletes are one of the few people who has perhaps the weakest immune system as well, because they're being tasked. When I was competing at high level, I was so prone to get sick because I was running at such low body fat, and I was always paying attention to what entered my body as far as the food goes, because I needed to watch my weight to be proficient on the bicycle. And that always made me more susceptible to catch colds or any other thing that went on. And since I retired from competitive cycling and I'm not doing any vigorous training, the frequency of me getting ill has reduced dramatically. And like when I was racing, there was a pattern of, say there's a series of competition in that 1 month, and at the end of the competition, when all set was done, everything was over, I'd come home and the pattern was also, after having such vigorous schedule with your training, you miss people. Because focus is a lonely place. When you're focused to do well in an athletic endeavor, you don't necessarily spend a lot of time in social environments. You don't go to parties, you don't go to get-togethers, you don't go to restaurants. You're sticking to your strict regimen to stay healthy, to be proficient in what you do. So, but after the series of events were over, I would just immediately to feed that thirst for socializing, I'd expose myself to the people and go to bars, go to restaurants, go to get-togethers, and soon enough, I have many training logs over the years, just ends up with doing great, competed, scored this much or placed there, happy with the result or not happy with the result, and then immediately there's some sort of a cold, there's some sort of a flu that you have to deal with because your body's topped out. So when people tell you healthy people are having healthy, by pointing at athletes, are struggling if they're sick, athletes go through these, your average cold, your average flu, athletes go through it a lot harder than your average Joe. Because your average Joe is always exposed to these germs and day-to-day social activities, so their immune system is much stronger. Plus, they're not exhausted. Average Joe doesn't spend 4-6 hours on the bicycle facing the elements, rain, shine, heat, cold, what have you. And people posting these things on Facebook to say, oh, look at this highly tuned athlete, how much he or she suffered from this, is kind of a bullshit, because to me, knowing what what the physicality of being an athlete, yeah, you do suffer more than the average person because you are depleted. Most of the time, you're walking around depleted as an athlete. So, having said that, let's see what kind of jargon people have put on Facebook so we can make fun of them. Oh, here's a good one. I don't even know if these numbers are true. Someone said 113,000 people have recovered from coronavirus. Try sharing that instead of the death toll. That's a good approach. Bravo, Eddie. Bravo. And somebody's posting their grandmother's food, little cat pictures here, and then more food pictures. Okay, this must be the food hour. Some cinnamon sticky buns. Yum, yum. And somebody's promoting a shortcut law allows you to qualify online to carry a concealed weapon for free advertisement. So in this case, if you believe in doomsday and you think zombies are going to attack you and you need to have your firearm on you at all times, well, look it up. They're offering online classes. Here we go. Parenting these days. This is probably the best parenting opportunity that parents have ever been given. Because you are not required to go to work. Work is not necessarily asking you to fulfill those obligations at this super psycho level. Because our work environments is like, hurry up, rush, go, and wait. You don't have that pressure right now. You have to stay at home. You don't have to fulfill any work obligations. You don't have to divide yourself between work and your children. You have your children all to yourself. Before all this corona stuff, I used to despise hearing parents going, "Oh my God, summer vacation is coming. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these children." And I'm talking about parents who get a chance to stay at home in their pajamas till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. These are like well-off parents who managed to create a home office situation, and they were always overwhelmed with the summer vacation coming and how am I going to deal with my child. First off, ladies and gentlemen, you do not deal with your child, you parent your child. You take the time to listen to them. Just listen to them. Let them guide you a little bit. Here's a pro tip. You are not obligated to entertain your child. This is like a problem, a fashionable problem that modern parents suffer from. Modern parents think that they are obligated to entertain their children. I'm from Turkey and I just did what my parents did. I don't recall my parents feeling overwhelmed regarding how entertained I am. They just did what they did, and as a child, it was up to me to figure out what was going to entertain me and how I was going to make something out of my time. And boredom is an amazing creator. If you sit there long enough without looking at any of these things and just sit there, be human, and listen to the voices in your head, eventually those voices will tell you to create something in these times. And if you are capable enough to add your children into this creation, there's your homeschool. This whole worry about what's going to happen to my child's education. Relax, parent. Relax. All the other kids are not learning either. So your race against the other parent's child is on standby. It's on standby. Now, if your child is kind of has been behind on certain topics, perhaps like basic math and such, this is a great time to recover from all that stuff. You can go over those things. But what's your approach to math? Do you like math? If you don't like math, how are you going to help your child? And the only reason chances are you don't like math is because you're not good at it. Here's the best part about being a teacher. And teachers will not tell you that. The best part about being a teacher is you get more practice than an average person about a subject matter if you're teaching it. Because you have to repeat it more than the individual that you're teaching that idea to. Think about that. And that whole thing like, oh, people who can't do it right teach, that is such a garbage. Such a garbage statement. What does that mean, people who can't do it well teach? I promise you they can do it a lot better than you can, average Joe or average Jane, whoever you are. Maybe Jane Joe. Times are different. Times are different. Maybe you wake up as Jane and you go to sleep as Joe and vice versa. All this can happen. But just don't forget, you're just average. You're just not good at all of these things. You're not good at hanging out with your kids. You feel your kids are a burden to you. Why did you make them if they're going to be a burden to you? I'll tell you why I made my child, I got my child at a much later age, and there was a point I'm like, well, I have hit many of these targets, goals, what have you. How am I going to stay entertained for the rest of my life? And from that came the thirst of having a child, raising a child. I'm set now. I have a 4-year-old and a 12-year-old. So at least for the next 16 years, my hands are going to be full. That's going to give shape to my life. And all these things that you think that you can't do because you have a kid, I promise you, you won't be doing those things had you not have a kid. Because that's not where your focus is. Look this is a great time to take a look at where your focus is. Is your focus in the good place? Or where you put, look, I'll tell you where your focus is. Your focus is right here. Day in, day out, your focus is right here. This consumes your life. This consumes my life. When I say you, everything I blame you for, it's because I see a little bit of myself in that. I'm an addict. I wake up, check to see what happened. But currently, looking at the picture and looking at, everybody's scared. Everybody's scared. It's okay. Everybody's scared. That's fine. And, but fear is no cure to death. We're all going to die. And if you're healthy today, what are you going to do? How are you going to spend that day? How can you make a great memory? Maybe you're going to die. Your children are going to go on with it. How are they going to remember you? Are they going to remember you as someone who creates good memories for them? And when I say good memories, I'm not talking about buying another box of Legos or buying another dollhouse or I'm buying another bicycle. Memories can be made if you're just like picking weeds out of your yard. Memories can be made if you're like gluing together an old plate that you've been hoping to mend. And you just tell them what you're doing. They like research. There's so much research out there proving that children want to just spend time with you. They don't care how they do that. Whether you're rolling dolmas with ivy leaves with the stuffing in it so you can like steam it a little bit and you can have this amazing Mediterranean delicacy, or you're putting a nail on the wall. If you share that moment with your children, it's amazing for them. It's amazing for them, and they will always remember that. Some of my best memories with my father is just that little bit of time he spent with me just showing me. I remember the day he walked me through his briefcase. He had this briefcase and I knew the code to open the briefcase and all the necessary documents were in this briefcase. He was a traveling salesman and every Monday he left the house to travel across Turkey and he would come back Friday afternoon to spend the weekend with us. And almost every Sunday early afternoon, every other week or so, he would refresh my memory about the contents of this briefcase, who to call, what to do in case he doesn't come back that Friday. It does sound grim, but him empowering me with this knowledge is one of my best memories with my father. It took like 5 to 10 minutes for him to walk me through all of that, but the way he did it, it was dope. And he would always start the conversation with, he goes, I know you're not a fan of this topic, but here it is. Hear it how it goes. So let's scroll more on Facebook to some drum related posts, and somebody is having a tiff with Amazon. My friend Aaron and his posse are doing an amazing job cleaning up the Arcata, Eureka beaches. Good for them. Shout out to Pack Out Green Team. There's some good things happening. Okay, an advertisement for Dick Pill. It's appropriate. I'm 45 years old. I do fall in that algorithm. Mom creates periodic table battleship game to teach her kids chemistry. Here we go. Maybe the Facebook heard me. And the first Facebook said, he's going to make fun of us. So let's put all the positive stuff in front of it. Because earlier this morning, I was like, oh, fuck this person. Because it was just lame. So we go on. Oh, and here we go. Another thing, ladies and gentlemen. Bitching and complaining about your president. He is your president. I don't give a shit what you say. He is your president. If you are a U.S. citizen, Donald Trump, Mr. Donald Trump, is your president. Suck it. And in this environment, he's at the helm. So you are at the mercy of his administration. Had you gotten your ass up and voted properly, you wouldn't be here. But here we are. So try to make the most out of this. Also, 99% of the garbage that's being said about the president is false. It's false. Long time ago, not long time ago, but when Trump first sat on the presidency chair, I couldn't believe the news I was receiving on my social media. I'm like, really? He said this? Or he acted like this? And then I started drilling into these and watching these videos myself, or listening to the speech in question from beginning to the end. And my conclusion has been, no, that's not what he said. That is not what he said. There's so many shameless journalists out there who just twist words of people, not just Donald Trump. They have this method of grabbing a snippet of what was said and then making a big hoopla out of it. And the type of behavior has conditioned our community to not listen to one another. Say I built a sentence with 20 words in it, and God forbid I use a risque word on word number 5. Remember, I'm building a sentence with 20 words, and I use a risque word on word number 5 in that sentence. A lot of you, I'm looking at you, a lot of you stop listening to that sentence just because that 5th word bothers you, and you run with it. And 99% of the time, had you sat there and listened to the sentence all the way till the end, first off, you're going to avoid an incredible amount of waste of time. Because you are wasting time. You're absolutely wasting time. And you're going to avoid misunderstandings, and you're going to stay at the table long enough to perhaps convince the person that you're in a debate with to listen to your side of the story and why you think what you think. But most of us, on word 5 or 6, if that word rubs us wrong, we bail. We jump ship. We're like, we don't want to do this anymore. No, not that you don't want to do this anymore. You just lack the attention span. You also never, ever sat there and did your own research to get to the bottom of a truth. You like reading titles on Facebook and then jumping in conclusions. I have this story when I first found out that Tom Hanks got the coronavirus. I said to myself, "Oh, that's good. That's really comforting." And people around me were like, "What? What are you talking about?" I said, "Look, they cannot let Tom Hanks die from this virus. He just did Mr. Rogers. We love Tom Hanks. He did so many great movies that he's America's sweetheart. We love him. They can't let him die." So the Magic Johnson model during the AIDS era is going to be applied here, and we're going to make sure Tom Hanks stays alive. And once we assure that Tom Hanks stays alive and survives coronavirus, then the cure will be available to you as well. So that was my silver lining. Of course, it caught flag because soon as I said, "Oh, I'm glad Tom Hanks got coronavirus," people stopped listening to me. We're lazy. Admit it. You're lazy. I'm lazy. And I do more than you do. We're so lazy. We're so lazy. And look, that the laziness comes from comfort. We don't have to do anything. In this country, especially in America, look how gracefully we're going through this thing right now. Imagine other countries that has lesser resources. Yesterday I went to Costco. I got toilet paper, rice, and flour. Those were the items that I couldn't get last week. This week it was organized and we all got our fair share of rice, fair share of flour, and fair share of TP. And speaking of TP, dear ladies, in these times, please stop wrapping your wrist 3 times or 4 times just to do one stroke of a wipe. Bidet is a great option, and after that, all you need is 3 sheets to dry it. So ladies, 3 sheets. 3 sheets. An argument was that, one argument was that I am cleaning a much larger surface, larger area. I debunked that argument by pointing at how hairy I am. I'm hairy. I'm hairy, high and low. I'm hairy. I'm very hairy. So it takes a certain amount of toilet paper etiquette and tactical approach to get a nice clean bottom at the end of my business. Granted, I do have bidet on all my toilets because I'm from Turkey. In Turkey, believe it or not, every toilet bowl comes with a bidet built in. We believe in our ass hygiene a lot more than you do. So, take that as an expert point of view as far as the butt hygiene goes. I know what I'm talking about. Bidet is the way to go, and then TP is just to dry it off. That's it. And imagine this. What a wonderful country we live in. In this country, if you pull up at a highway rest stop, you can find hot water at these rest stops. If you were to provide people with hot water in Turkey on the side of a highway, people's immediate reaction would be, is this what we're doing right now? This was a problem to solve, hot water on the side of a road, while all these other greater problems are waiting to be resolved. This is the problem they solved, hot water on the side of the road. So don't forget, you live in a country where we have hot water at our rest stops. So keep your butt clean, keep your attitude in tip-top shape. Stop reading these crazy doomsday stuff, and call your people, man. Call your people. Do that. Why aren't you calling your family and friends instead of bitching and complaining about how bored you are at home? Call people. It does wonders to your psyche. Pick up the phone. Call that family member that you have a dispute with. You might die. That's what everybody says. You might die because of this thing. Do you want to die with that stuff unresolved? Do you? You don't, I promise you. Fix it. These are great chances to fix a lot of things. That house project that you've been wanting to do. You have the time now. You don't have to be anywhere but be at home. Fix that part of the house. You need to paint the siding, paint that. You need to fix a crack, mud that. You need to hang a picture, hang that. Because this however long this is gonna take, in our current environment, this is a vacation. This is a mandatory vacation because nobody's really getting ahead of you. Unless you have your tin hat on and thinking this is some sort of a government conspiracy and that's how rich is going to get richer and poor is going to get poorer. We go back to attitude again because poor is an attitude. Poor is an attitude. You might be broke and that can be changed. But if your attitude is poor, that is very difficult to change. Look for things to laugh at. Watch some comedy instead of some zombie apocalyptic bullshit. Who picks that kind of stuff as a form of entertainment? Some gore, some like heads falling off or arms getting chopped off. Like what is that? Look into that. Don't drink. I don't recommend drinking much because alcohol is a deterrent. And it does diminish your immune system. I recommend a little bit of weed to relax. But if you're a tin hat person, then that might trigger your paranoia and help you think of more crazy things. These are all possibilities. These are all possibilities. Let's go scroll down a little bit more. What else is going on the Book of Face?